Hola, San Antonio!
Hello, San Antonio. This is oddly my first time to San Antonio. I can't believe that. I used to live very, very close to you in Austin, Texas. Very interesting. I've been here a lot. I'm going to sit down. Hi! Thanks for having me.
Thank y'all for coming out.
Sit so far away, Sean.
I really appreciate you guys doing this. Thank you.
Yes, I'm ready.
You want to move over there a little?
A little bit.
All right, so there's a lot of legacy on the stage right here. It's insane.
This guy has a lot of legacy.
Both of y'all. And there's a lot of questions I could ask, but I'm not really going to ask those. I'm going to leave it to y'all.
You mean like because of the level of appropriateness, or just because?
If you knew me, you probably would know that answer. So, just thank y'all for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I gotta give you a shout out, dude. Just thank you for providing people my age who are in our 40s with lifelong fandoms and fun. And now they're out here with our own kids, sharing stuff from Goonies to Stranger Things. Thank you.
It makes me happy. It just makes me so happy thinking about it. I have 3 kids, and they're old now. My oldest kid is 27. But thank you for understanding exactly what I meant. And then 22 and 19, and I just think about all of the shows and the movies and the fandoms that that we've loved as our family. So when the idea that people have that for stuff that I've been in, it's just, they're just incredible.
Absolutely. And Elijah, you say he's got a legacy, but you kind of do too. Not only are you a part of Lord of the Rings, I also want to give a shout out to our Over the Garden Wall fans who are
10 years.
10 years. They just announced that they're going to have a claymation.
That is a very special animated piece that Aardman have joined forces on. And
you guys are familiar with Wallace and Gromit? They're
Shaun the Sheep.
Yeah.
I've seen this thing, and it's really great. It made me very emotional actually watching it. It's great to see those characters again.
What was the process about that, getting into that? Did you have any idea that it'd be such a cult classic?
Oh God, no. I mean, I was asked to do a voice to play Wirt in what was just a standalone short, Tome of the Unknown, and I fell in love with the art style because the email that I was sent from my agent about the project included, basic sort of designs and a sort of idea of what the short was going to look like. And I fell in love instantly and thought, I would love to be a part of this. This is gorgeous. And we did the short, and I had no idea that it was going to turn into a miniseries, and it turned into a miniseries, and then it kind of took off. But none of us knew that it was going to be this sort of thing that people would return to every year, and it would be a tradition in people's homes during this particular, the sort of October holiday. Yeah. So yeah, I had no idea, and I'm so unbelievably grateful to be a part of it. It's so special.
No, it's incredible because, like you said, it's become part of autumn. There's that one musician or artist that always has that Christmas song. You literally have a whole month of October because of that. So
no, it's really cool.
It's so great. It's so great. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start getting some of y'all up here. That way we can get some questions. Let's be cordial and not push. Oh my goodness, here we go.
Hey.
Hobbit Thunderdome.
You guys are intense. I love it. You guys are really gonna push my rules today. I've got a lot of boundaries. Let's not break them, y'all. All right.
So I'm gonna try to answer questions somewhat concisely, which is not what I'm known for.
It is so not what you're known for.
I want to get to people's questions.
Or me. I could go on.
You're a talker.
Yeah.
You're a couple of talkers.
Yeah, a couple of talkers. We like to give detailed answers. We're going to try and be concise too, so as to allow for as many questions as possible.
All right, here we go.
Sir,
hi.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
What happened to your fucking leg?
I'll keep it short. A forklift ran over my foot. No broken bones. No torn tendons. It just damaged my heel. It just peeled it.
What?
Yeah, it just peeled the heel like a banana.
You don't like bananas? What's wrong with you?
So, The skin died, they took it off, they pulled some skin from my thigh, put it down there, and then they grafted skin from the inside on the outer.
What's the prognosis?
I keep my foot.
Yeah! That's incredible.
And you have to learn how to deal with your fear of forklifts.
Yeah, and because I have my thigh on my heel, I can now grow hair on my heel. So that's a plus.
I'm sure your partner is thrilled for that extra benefit.
How very happy of you, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack your question.
No, you're fine. Big fan of the series, Elijah. I love a lot of your work.
Thank you.
The one that sticks out to me the most is Wilfred. So I just wanted to know, what was it like working on Wilfred, becoming the character of Ryan, and then just working alongside Jason? Like, what was that whole experience?
It was a joy. It was 4 years of what we fondly referred to as having a giggle for 3 months out of the year. It was extraordinary. Very unique in TV. Generally with television, you do like every 2 episodes, it's a new director that comes in. And Randall Einhorn, who shot the pilot and the 2nd episode, and I think the 3rd and 4th, we had another director come in, which is standard to direct 2 episodes, and then Randall came back. But we didn't end up having any other directors after that. And then for the rest of the series, it was all one director, all Randall. Very, very unique, which then as a result created a really tight bond amongst the crew and our director in a way that is sort of unique in TV. It almost felt like we were making long films every season because we didn't change hands. Like, it was always the same team, creatively. So that was great. And working with Jason Gann was a total joy. I mean, what he did with that character from scene to scene, from episode to episode, you know, he was constantly morphing and could be all of these different things and was bringing so much creativity to that process. And, you know, Ryan is very reactionary. My job was really to kind of be on my back feet and react a lot. And it was just a joy. It was fun. It was fun to work in comedy, fun to have a giggle for 3 months out of the year for 4 years. It was awesome. Yeah. Thanks. I miss it. I really miss it.
Iconic. It's iconic.
Yeah, it's a special thing. Yeah. I'm Braden. One of your biggest fans. I will self-proclaim that. At the end of the 2 Towers, I think I can speak for everyone when there is a very heartfelt scene that I think it brings us all to tears every single time. And you give a heartfelt monologue about the things that the world is worth fighting for in the world. What are some things in our modern world that root you down to find something worth fighting for?
I'm ready. I'm teed up and ready for this one. Well, it starts with my family, you know, my wife and our daughters. I care so much. I care about people. And all of the insanity that goes along with the political season that we're in and this moment in history that we're in, I just find myself wanting to think about human beings everywhere. Human beings on one side of the border, on the other side of the border. Human beings who have a lot of money and human beings who don't have a lot of money. I am the kind of person where if somebody's got a flat tire on the side of the road, I want to help them. So just the fact that as a species, we live, we breathe, we love, we have children, we grow old, we die, this cycle continues, and we have to, if we want to make the jump to Mars or whatever other like planets or galaxies we're going to go to if we survive hundreds of years from now, in this moment we have to care about each other. So that's to me what's worth fighting for, is reminding that even when social media and TikTok is going by and there's so many things, we have to care about each other. If we said that to ourselves before we opened our mouth in any political conversation, we would find ourselves looking at policy discussions in a totally new way. So I love my fellow human beings.
I have nothing to add. I completely agree.
Thank you for the question.
Yeah, thanks.
Stand before the altar of God.
Say that again, I didn't hear you.
As I stand before the altar of God.
The altar of God, wait. Big Texas Comic Con? That's awesome.
Hey, honor
honored to meet y'all. Mom's a big fan of Lord of the Rings. Can't wait for the Among Us cartoon. So my question is, what are the most obscure roles you guys have been recognized for? I asked this to Elijah and one Special Agent Oso.
So, you were talking fast, and I didn't 1,000% receive what you said. But Special Agent Oso, it's all part of the plan. Actually, do you even know what Special Agent Oso is? It's designed for. There you go. You were probably 3 years old when it came out, and it was aimed at you. It's for like Playhouse Disney, like little kids. And his big thing is he wants to be a special agent, and everything is about the steps, the three special steps. Step 1 to like tie your shoe. Step 1,
get out of here.
Yeah, and like
yeah. Oh my God, I love this.
It's so great. I honestly think that for the parents it has to be really tedious and horrible, but for the kids, you know, life is so complicated. You know, we talk about like what's worth fighting for in the world. If you can kind of like boil things down into their essence, you know, 3 special steps. Step 1, love Elijah. Step 2, find a restaurant. Step 3, have dinner with Elijah. Is that what you're okay?
I was asking what the most obscure role you've been recognized for.
Recognize North, yeah. I'm not in the Greasy Strangler, but yes, my association with it is maybe one of my most proud things. I love that movie. I was a producer on it. Come to Daddy, I guess, is maybe one of the more obscure things. It's not that obscure, but when people have seen it, it's by Kids the Guy, sure. Which I feel has. You didn't know that?
It's been a long time.
All right, yeah. I feel like that has somehow come back into the zeitgeist a little bit because I've gotten more in the last year and a half, You're the Guy, than close to its release. Like, kind of wild. I don't know if it's like the people are rediscovering it or whatever, but.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome to San Antonio.
Thanks.
Elijah. This question's for Sean. I've been waiting 20 years to ask this. Are you ready?
Born ready.
What's Tater's precious?
Potato.
Linked with Spuds, man. I love it so much.
He did the thing.
It's all because of the meme that they did. That was like before memes were a thing. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. Boil them, beat it, boil them, mash them. I watched that and I was like, oh no. This will never end.
Hi, that was a great question. I probably can't top that. But my name's Raina and I love your films. I was wondering what your favorite scene is or your favorite memory from The Lord of the Rings.
You know, Raina means queen, whatever, right?
Yeah.
It does, yeah. Favorite moment? My daughter, Allie, who's 27 now, she was 3, she comes running down in Hobbiton, and Sam and... You guys! I was gonna say the reason that we talk so long is because we want, it's fresh for us. You get the same question 1,000 times, but each time you want to like understand it a little bit differently. So there's like exploration and stuff, but that's such a sweet response. Allie, yeah, and Sam is just farewell Frodo to the Grey Havens, and it's like, you know, Return of the King has like 15 endings. And it just keeps ending, and then it's and it ends again, and it's like, you know, the crying isn't enough. We have to have more crying, you know? And that last line, I remember there's certain things where you're just doing the movie, you know, you're just doing the movie. But that particular moment when I'm holding her, and she was not listening to me. She was not paying attention. She was playing with my elven brooch, and she was doing it like mischievously, and I'm like, Allie, stop. Allie, stop. And she just wouldn't listen to me. And Peter walks up and said, Allie, can you do it like this? And she goes, That just blows. But then I say the last line of the book is, well, I'm back. And I remember, like, it's such an important moment. It's the end of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You know, I'm back. Well, I'm back. And like, you know, well, I'm like, and the best thing is like, no, it's, you know, it's just a moment. It's just a moment, you know. But anyway, that's one. Yeah.
That's the thing. It's actually really hard to pick like a moment or a scene, because we're so fortunate that the experience was just filled with them, filled with these extraordinary days and incredible adventures and, you know, connective moments with fellow cast members and, you know, wild memories of just things that, you know, we'll never get to experience again and that were so singular to that experience. So it is actually difficult. It's not easy to sort of pull out one thing, but I don't know. I think a lot about, not so much on-set stuff. I think a lot about the space in between. You know, the brunches on weekends, the you know, surf trips that we would take, or you know, just the tattoo, sure, yeah, sure. But it's all those things too, because that's a part of the fabric of the experience. Is like, it's as much about the time that we spent together offset as it is about what we did on set too, and those things informed upon who we are as people and kind of imprinted on our experience as we go forward. So think about a lot of those things.
Just was remembering, or just thinking about this in a different way, that you and I were super important. We were. So I never think when you're doing it, you're just not important. You're just one of a lot of people, and all of us are, you know, it's like work, you know, it's like a factory, it's hard work. And the caterers, they're very good caterers, you know, and the kind of foods that they put out all the time, it was, you know, it was like the same rhythm of, there's only so much, you know,
there's only so much
lamb you can have, right? Or so much. So
it did put me off lamb for a number of years.
I know.
I love lamb now, but wow,
it was a lot, yeah. So, but we would occasionally request chicken teriyaki from this Japanese restaurant in town, and a runner would go, because you can't go anywhere, you got the feet on. you can't be like, I'm gonna go into town really quick because I know we have 90 minutes and I'm gonna get a little bite, because you got your ears, you know, people are gonna be like, whoa. Yeah, you can't. So they would bring it, and the two
hobbits can't leave the premises.
We were locked in, but we would have chicken teriyaki lunch in the dressing room like a bunch of times. Love that.
We also occasionally would get a chicken sandwich from across the road.
Yeah. That's how we knew. That's how I know we were important.
We would just ask. We never took those things for granted. But yeah, they would do that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Rafa. I'm here with my best friend. She came here. She's pretty quick speaking.
¿Cómo se llama?
Se llama
Su amiga.
Steph. Her name is Steph.
Steph. Hi, Steph.
And since
hello,
they
Steph.
already asked the questions we had in store for y'all, would you please tell Steph you love her? She lives, breathes, and eats Lord of the Rings.
Steph, we love you.
Steph, I love you.
I love you.
I love you.
Thank you.
Gracias, amigo. I love Spanish.
My name's Beck. My question is for Elijah. Was filming on Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency as chaotic as the show itself was?
Kind of. It, yeah. Yeah, it was. Look, the thing about that show, if for anyone who's seen it, there isn't like a normal scene. Right? Everything's a little absurd and heightened, and there isn't just like a sit-down, I don't know, banal, informational scene. They're all crazy. So it's just, it was endlessly entertaining and fun and funny, and Sam Barnett, who plays Dirk, is so brilliant and so fun to play opposite. We had a great cast both seasons. It was a blast. And we were very keen to keep going. It's a shame that it ended up getting canceled, which is a bummer. But yeah, it was a lot too. Like, you know, Max wrote really verbose scripts. Like they were really talky. So I had a lot of dialogue. Like it was a lot of work, but I found it thrilling the way that those scripts were written were just fun. We just had a lot of fun.
Thank you so much.
I just wanted to say something. I've been into the Lord of the Rings since the latter 70s. and I have read the books, watched the movies, and I can't think of two better people they could choose for y'all's characters. You all can play this character. When I was retired, and I was wondering, I try to keep track of the people that I worked with for all those years. Do you all still stay in touch, the cast and characters? I mean, I try to stay in touch all the time with those guys. But you all seem like y'all was really sincere during the whole time of that movie. And that touched a lot of people. And I was just wondering if y'all stay in touch with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about the whole cast.
I mean, these conventions have become like a ridiculous cornucopia of benefits. You know, I mean, they're paid public appearances, which is so, you know, so great. But we meet all these people in the green room. You walk into the green room and you see everybody, and you know we all bounce around at different times in all over the world. All over the world, we're going there, and you know, John Rhys Davies. John, good to see you. You sit down, you have a meal now, and oh, there's Andy Serkis. He's back from New Zealand for a minute, and there's this person, and it's almost like the fandom has created this kind of like, you know, enduring cycle of facilitating, interacting with each other. We are on group threads. You know, we're the Hobbits are on a group thread where Elijah beats us all at mini Scrabble every day, or whatever it's called. Mini
crossword. The New York Times Mini, y'all.
Yeah. So, but
I don't always beat them.
When the COVID thing happened, and a lot of the different casts from different shows would do kind of like, you know, read the script or whatever. We reunion things. Yeah, we you know, all of a sudden we all found ourselves on an email. So we're not emailing all the time, but when something happens, little emails happen, you know. So people go
with the entire cast. Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
So, but this is life, you know. I feel like every movie I've done, the ethos for my being a second generation performer is that when you act with people in a movie, that's it. You're like family forever. You might not see them for 10 or 15 years, but if you walk into a room and they're there, you hug and it's like no time has passed.
Yeah.
So yes, sometimes not as much as your imagination might want you to think, but like the sincerity word you used is a good word. There is absolute sincerity in the affection that everybody had for each other. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, boys. I'm talking to you.
Hey, what's up? We're here. What's that T-shirt? What is that?
It's
oh my
Gandalf
God,
and Frodo, but it's also
it's
Calvin and Hobbes.
Calvin and Hobbes, brilliant. I love that. I'm a huge Calvin and Hobbes fan.
So my name's Dustin. I was the yarn-bearded Gandalf from earlier. I run a high school theater department, and so I'm fully aware of all the fun things that happen whenever you're in the production process. And there are a lot of things that we know of that happened, candid moments like all the injuries, or Vigo's headbutts, or Villuver Vigs, etc. Will you share with us one that is lesser known, that hasn't been publicized as much? Some candid, fun moment that, you know, was unexpected.
I just thought of one, but it's it's not for family audiences yet. No, I mean there's absolutely not. You know, but dressing rooms. This is a terrible one. I remember when my dad was doing California Suite in a theater in New England, and my Christine, who's I've been married to for 32 years now, we were kind of new in our relationship. Thank you. I'll tell her. The applause that are really for her. She's the one who's had to put up with the insanity. But we go backstage afterwards and we walk in and my dad's like naked. He's changing, and my wife, or then girlfriend, walks in and goes, "Oh, Jesus, what did you just see?" And my dad's like, "What?" And he's like, "No, Dad." You know. So you can imagine that phenomenon may have occurred in some...
We may need names.
Well, there were a lot of hairy orcs running around, I'll tell you that. they have to put those rubber things on, right? Those rubber, or the Urkai or whatever. They don't just go on, and they don't put it over their jeans. So, and it's not like they had, every one of those 500 of them had their own dressing room. So you just get close. And there was no, you know, cell phones where you can take a selfie and push a button and everyone all over the world can see it in a split second. That didn't exist when we were doing Lord of the Rings. You could call on a phone back to Los Angeles, talk to my brother, but the phone would heat up. So when the world has changed. The world has changed. Things are different now. You cannot have the same kind of intimacy, protected.
No.
Right?
No, it's really interesting. I'm so grateful that we made those movies in 1999 and 2000. No, seriously, like we shot those movies on film. They would not be shot on film now. Like it would not. We use a lot of practical, interesting old film techniques that probably wouldn't be used in the same way now, unless it was like a mandate. You know, not having social media, not having smartphones. We were in between setups that could be 2-3 hours, time. We'd be reading books, hanging out in each other's trailer, talking, and the intimacy.
Yeah, there's none of this.
None
of that.
No, and the intimacy afforded to us as a result of that is so extraordinary, which isn't to say that you can't achieve those things now, and that there is, a lack of connectivity. I don't know that there is necessarily, but there certainly isn't that kind of experience anymore. It's just the world is different.
Also, culture, there's certain things, if you watch certain TV shows from the early 2000s or the 90s or the 80s, the jokes that were so fun that drove those shows, you couldn't do those jokes now. They just would not go, right? So you can imagine that a bunch of guys, I mean, before Liv Tyler got there, it was like 9 dudes. And we would be in vans, driving places and stuff, and the kinds of things you talk, I shudder to think what things we might have said back then that now you'd be like, oh, I never would have said that. Like, you kind of did say that. So.
But look, the Winnebago that Vigo and Orlando and Bernard Hill were in was called the C-U-N-T-Y Bago. On the call sheet, it was referred to as the C Bago. So it was official.
There were t-shirts, Vigo got t-shirts, and that word.
And fully used the word, which down south and certainly in England, that word is not nearly as sort of high-level curse as it is in the United States. It's used affectionately.
It absolutely is.
It totally is. No,
my wife would, she just couldn't stand when she would hear that word. At some point, once we were there for a year, she said it at one point, you're like, no, please don't say that.
And Kate Blanchett shared that trailer as well, and she was right in on the fun.
Raunchy humor, like just totally base way of relating to each other. Almost like at certain moments you'd be like, we're coming out of orbit now, and we're going to be around actual human beings. So like, keep your freak on a leash now.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if that answered your question. It's also, honestly, like, after such a long period of time, I mean, I think our memories could be jogged if we sat around for a number of hours and, like, pulled out photos and sort of, and like, extracted, old information from the chasm of our brains.
I don't know how many of our memories are remembering the stories we've told
There's
about
that too,
as opposed to, like, what actually happened.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Hi, sorry.
Everybody's here for you anyway. My name's Monica, and Sean, I just really loved your mother so much. I just know how to say that. So you've each played some of the most memorable characters in fantasy and adventure. What do each of you believe makes a truly iconic character, and how do you approach bringing them to life?
An iconic character, I think, is a mix of relatability with who you aspire to be, perhaps, maybe. I mean, look, it's all different, because I think an iconic character can be an amalgam of, can be different things. In the case of Frodo, from the books, Frodo is a sort of cipher for us, because he's sort of where the book is populated with these kind of larger than life hero figures, right? I mean, to a degree, even Aragorn is troubled and not like your average hero. He doesn't work in archetypes in a traditional way, and I love that about Tolkien. But the thing about Frodo is that anybody can do what he did. You know, the smallest person can change the course of the future. I think that's what makes him iconic, he's relatable. You know, when we feel small and it feels like there's no way that we can make these sort of grand heroic gestures, we look to Frodo and we go, he isn't those things, and yet he changed the course of the future.
So my first thought went to iconography, the look of a character. You know, when I was thinking of Wilford, just the way, you know, there's something iconic about the look, but beyond something that becomes instantly memorable for its, there's some truth that is coming through the character that's connecting with people in a very real way, and that truth is encased and protected by the iconic character. And so, you know, it's a messenger. The iconic, you know, Samwise Gamgee is meant to represent some basic, you know, core values of human experience, of faith and loyalty and decency and goodness and all these things. So, you know, I think a lot of times you can see little flaws in a character or a story as filmmakers or storytellers are rendering their work. But every now and then there's certain things come along and it's just like it's just pure. It sustains itself. You know, I think a lot about the superhero characters. You know, the ones that really last over time. You understand Batman. You know, Batman is iconic. Is it just iconic because of the like rubber abs and the pointy thing, or the very? You know, Batman, he represents, you know, trauma and heroism. And like you see one look of Batman, you know exactly what that mood is and that emotion is, and he sustains it over time. So yeah, I mean, I think, and I don't think you can create it intentionally. I think something emerges as iconic.
Yeah, because it gets embraced and yeah, it becomes iconic over time.
If you sit down and like, all right, I'm going to write an iconic figure. Like, it's probably not going to work out that well, you know. But if you're like, I'm going to work on telling the story of my life or my childhood or my something like this, and then the next thing you know, you've done it with authenticity and rigor and discipline and you know, inspiration, and the next thing you know, you go like, oh, that character who was with you at those critical points in your life and who kept showing back up, that's like an icon for this or that. But it's a really special question, so I appreciate it.
Really good question, thank you. Really quickly, I want to say we have maybe 10 minutes left, so I'm not really sure we're going to get to everybody, and I'm really sorry if we don't. We got 10 minutes left, so make sure you're all...
So I was in film school shortly after the films were released, and many of us were obsessed because of the DVDs with how they were made, trying to replicate some of the things you guys did with scale, and we knew the names of the concept artists and the sound editors. So dope, dude. Yeah, no, it was really, really great. We had completely caught the filmmaking bug, right?
I love that.
And now, as a high school teacher, I'm trying to help kids catch the bug as well. But my question for you is, what was that moment for you where you became fascinated by the process of filmmaking and knew this is what you wanted to do?
Oh, yeah, I mean, you grew up in it. It's such an interesting experience.
I know the exact moment for me.
Okay, good.
I know the exact moment. It was Star Wars.
Right.
And it was the making of. I was like 6 or 7, so I don't know. I remember on Pico Boulevard, next to Pickwick Bowling Alley, was the big theater, and that's where it was. And I don't remember getting to see it in the thing, but I remember watching George Lucas and the Death Star and the camera angle and like the way they did the practical effects of the TIE fighters and the X-Wing fighters and like that made it, I mean, to go from that moment as a little kid to walking into New Zealand to see the miniatures, the massive size miniatures that Peter Jackson and his team and Richard Taylor had built, and you know, I was 29, it was 20 years, 25 years later, there was no time. I was the same sense of wonder and awe and, you know, excitement, and we made little movies, you know, and our little movies were just as important to me as Lord of the Rings, you know, the stuff we do in my backyard or with my little brother, and yeah, so, but I just want to say something about your students and inspiring them, you know, asking a question and listening to an answer is really special, and it's a little hard because if a kid is in front of other people, they might be nervous, but I can get with little kids and just ask them a question, you know, and then sometimes it takes a moment, but watching them develop their answer and watching them go in this direction or that, I just give them like a little prompt, you know. This one little boy, he ended up making these great little short films, and it just came out of a conversation about like story or whatever it was. My point is, listening as a teacher is as important as talking as a teacher. Yeah. Which I'm sure you already know.
So, you all know that this movie is like very famous and popular, and because of that, it made you guys famous and popular. So I just wanted to know, like, what would you be doing, and where would you be, and what would you be doing if you never decided to become an actor?
That's a really good question. What's your name?
Brendan.
Brendan, thank you. That's a great question. You know, when I was younger, I think if you'd asked me then, I had a series of answers. At one stage, I think I wanted to be a spy. I was fascinated by like James Bond. Spy. Yeah, you could. Yeah. It is a vocation, as it turns out. And then I was also really fascinated with like with animals and sea creatures, and I remember really wanting to be like a marine biologist. I never followed any of those tracks, so it would be quite difficult for me to get into the sciences now. I would have to spend a great deal of time at university. However, it would be a creative field. It would have to be something creative. I love music. It's a huge part of my life too. Just as a fan, but also I play other people's records for other people out in the world. So it would, but I can't imagine, I can't unsee my experience and the gratitude that I have for what I have been able to do over the last 30 some odd years of my life, which is engage in the creative process with a lot of people. And so if I weren't an actor, I just have to know that there's something in me that would be drawn to something creative and want to work with a group of people towards something that we all believe in. So it could be in video games, it could be in, I have so many interests, I have so many other things that I love, but it would have to be a creative process. Yeah, music.
Fame and popularity was how you started to frame your question. And they're kind of imposters.
Yeah.
Those ideas.
Yeah,
I mean, it's true. I'm famous. And when Lord of the Rings came out and blew up as big as it did, I would constantly look at my wife and go, I'm famous. She didn't like that joke. It's funny, it's true, it's funny. My mom and dad were professional actors. The one lady was very nice to mention my mom, Patty Duke, and my dad is, she's passed, but my dad is 94, Gomez from the original. My mom had won an Oscar when she was your age, and then they had their hit shows in the 60s. So by the time I was like born and becoming 5 or 6 years old or 7 years old and aware of what was going on, certainly their experience of life was a little heightened. It was a little different than other people we knew, but ultimately the limitations of fame and popularity, meaning like the enjoyment of it, had ended for them. They were not living in the space of being popular. It's like, oh, would you love to be popular? Oh, I would love to be popular. Would you love to be famous? Fame is something you can go for to try and achieve. I grew up in a world where that just wasn't like that interesting anymore. So for me, what I think I would do, I just graduated from American University with a degree in public administration and public policy. And so I would want to do something in government. I love government. I love government. You know, we think of politics as being this awful thing, but politics is one part of it. But the actual governing, the policy, how do people care for each other? How do systems work? I would want to find some way to be involved in government. Yeah. Good question.
Hey guys, so you made the films feel so real for all of us fans, so thank you for that. But I was wondering if there was any particular scene, whether it was the Uruk-hai or the landscape, that made the movie feel real to you, that you felt frightened or you felt like you were actually a character.
Nothing can beat the experience of seeing Hobbiton for the first time. It was real. I mean, you know, with Rivendell or Lothlorien or any of the other locations that we visited along the way, you could look a certain way and see the end of the set, or we'd be in the soundstage, but with Hobbiton, there was nothing to break the illusion. Nothing. You crest the hill and then it was there. All the Hobbit holes and the gardens and the party field and the green dragon, it was all there. And so that, I'll never forget seeing that for the first time and feeling like, and we had these moments throughout for sure of the world coming to life in front of our eyes and us realizing the scale, scope, and artistry involved was on such another level. But that one for me really stands out, of just feeling like this is a place that's real and we get to visit it. What an extraordinary thing.
I agree with all that. The natural world, just, you know, we take these helicopters, we'd be in these, you know, these mountains or fjords or pastoral lands or whatever, you just like, you were in it. You were in the place that was being described in the books, in the scripts. You couldn't, there was no place you could look where it didn't like make it feel real. But everything, the props, every prop, every piece of your clothing, everything, every set you walk in, the chainmail, like you literally, you know, two emotions would happen. One is like, you know, like, oh my God, I forgot to enjoy the wonder of it for a minute. You know, I forgot to look at this thing. Look, yeah, I'm taking for granted there's 700 people wearing Uruk-hai costumes and screaming and yelling. Like, you know, every now and then you got to look and be like, this is like, wow, this is extraordinary. But the other thing is, and it's true for everyone, it's true for you and how you are right now, and it's true for so many people, and it's why conventions are this kind of sacred space in my heart. You can make a choice. You can make a choice to believe. You know, you're real right now. I can see you and I can believe it. You know, that's our power. As human beings, that is power. You can choose to believe, you know, and so it's not like it has to be, you don't have to have been making the movie in order for it to be real. You can watch and enjoy and experience the movie, but you can also just, in your own life, at any moment, whenever you want, wherever you want, choose to believe. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is going to be our last question of the day. I'm very sorry, all you guys.
Oh.
It's the worst moment.
No,
that is the
awful.
worst moment in all of convention life.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry, but we're all bonded, so.
I just want to let you know, I've been a Lord of the Rings fan since the 60s.
Oh, cool.
At
Frodo lives.
At 50 years old, my daughter took me to Trilogy Tuesday for my birthday.
Oh.
And everyone said, you're insane, why are you doing that? I'm like, my 18-year-old daughter wants to spend the entire day with me watching a movie that I absolutely loved.
Oh.
You guys made Frodo and Bilbo and Sam come to life for me.
Oh, I'm so glad.
There's no question. There is no question. One 1,000,000%, which you can't have, you can only have 100%, but the 1,000,000,000,000,000%, the greatest thing about being a part of this experience is that it has brought families together. And in traditions, Christmas time or New Year's, or we waited to see it until my, child got back from deployment, or, I was never able to talk to my sibling, and then we saw that together, and it opened like a portal for our relationships, or I was in a very dark time in my life, and it helped me get through it. Like that, to be a part of something that facilitates that is just
it's the most
incredible. Yeah, so the feeling is mutual.
Thank you guys so very much.
Yeah. Everyone stand up. We're going to do a quick selfie with y'all. So everyone stand up and make as much noise as possible because I'm going to record this.
Love you, San Antonio. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.